Hey guys. So I did part of a video earlier today on my phone talking about all the issues with my heart, and so I came home and tried to find all my papers. I was only able to find 2 of the pictures from my actual heart mapping, but it'll kind of show you maybe a little bit. And then I found the paper that I got from the doctor the very first time that I went to see him, and kind of like he was talking to me about like what everything is and what it does and all of that. And I will tell you what I had as we go through, but I've had 3 different procedures each time, so like each procedure was a different one, and again we'll kind of touch base on that. So originally what happened was I was sitting at work one day, and pretty much all my life I've had what I considered just normal like heart palpitations. I didn't know that it was not normal. My whole family pretty much has them, and I just thought maybe one, it was because I was just stressed or I was active. You know, I just played it off as being something normal. Well, it's really not normal, and you should probably have it checked out if you have it. But I was sitting at work one day, this was when I worked at the animal hospital still, and it hadn't really been, I mean, like we had one, there's this fly that's flying around. Anyways, we had one kind of, not aggressive, but he just didn't like being touched dog. And so, you know, we kind of had to wrestle with him a little bit, but it wasn't anything that like I didn't do on a normal basis anyways. And I was sitting at the computer just scrolling through an article. This was probably 45 minutes after I had already wrestled the dog. But I was scrolling through an article, and my heart kind of started fluttering, and I started getting really super dizzy, and I was like, okay, I don't really know what's going on, but I didn't feel normal at all. And it started getting harder and harder for me to breathe. And my mom has seizures, so I didn't know. I thought maybe that I was about to have a seizure, and I knew from common sense, you know, if you have one, you need to be on the ground or laying down the ground or something like that. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to have one, I'll at least go ahead and get on the ground, because this is a concrete floor and I don't want to fall and bust my head open. So I get down, and like halfway down from me, like I'm sitting on a stool, so I'm really like not super high up. But from about halfway down, like as I'm starting to get down, like I lose my vision completely, but instead of it being black, it's like a blood red color, which of course freaked me out a little bit. And I kind of just fall to the ground. Like I can't hold my balance anymore, and I just fall to the ground. And at this point, I'm in the back by myself. All of the other doctors and techs were in rooms with patients. So I just kind of sat there for a minute, and this probably only takes like 45 seconds, maybe a minute, 2 minutes tops. But you know, when it's happening, you're kind of like, this is forever. But I sat down on the ground, and I was just trying to get my composure, because me being the person that I am, I was like, I don't want anybody to know anything's wrong. Like I don't want anybody to see me like this, and pull it together and just make it go away so that I could get up and stand up and be normal. So I finally got up and thought I had myself together, and one of the doctors come back there and went to hand me, she went to grab something, and she was like, hey, can you hold this dog real quick? And it was a kind of bigger pit bull, and I was like, yeah, you know, again, not wanting her to know anything was going on. And as soon as she handed me the leash, the dog really didn't even pull against me, but like it, I guess, pulled enough to where there was some tension in the leash. And I knew then that something was really wrong. And so I told her, I was like, hey doctor, like something is wrong. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, something just happened. And so she immediately took the dog from me and was like, you know, what happened? Do you need to sit down? What's wrong? And I just started crying because I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't really sure if it was going to happen again. And I told her, I was like, you know, I'm just super dizzy. And I told her everything that happened. And she was like, okay, so you need to go sit down for a minute. And so I went in our surgery suite and just kind of, we laid out a blanket, and I laid down on the cold floor thinking, you know, maybe I just got super dizzy, or I got hot, or like maybe it was an anxiety attack because I'd never had one before. So I sat down and I laid there probably, a good 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes. I really, at this point, I don't know, like, time span wise what was happening. But I kept laying there, and the room was just spinning. And so I would put one leg, or like lay one leg completely flat, but then kind of like bend the other one so that it was up a little bit, so that I would know that I was where I was at, but my body still couldn't like find its place. So I kept, I'm relaying all this info to the doctor, and one of the other doctors comes back, they were like, well, from what's going on, it kind of sounds like you may be having a stroke, like you need to go to the ER now. And I was like, I'm only 24, like, can 24-year-olds have strokes? All of these thoughts started going through my head, and I did not want to go in an ambulance at all. I'm just that person. So I was like, okay, well, and my mom was on her way to get the girls, or she normally went about that time. So I was like, let me call my mom and see where she's at and see, if she can help me. So I called her, I was like, Mom, I need you to come get me, take me to the hospital. I don't know what's wrong. And I told her everything that had happened. So she was like, okay, well, let me call your dad real quick, tell him to get the girls, I'm on my way. So she got there, and I was telling her, and she was like, yeah, it kind of sounds like you had a stroke. But I knew in my head that for the most part, any person that had ever had a stroke had like some droopy face, or one side that was weak and the other wasn't, or something like that. So I didn't know, but I was like, these people are doctors, and my mom's been around a lot of crazy stuff, so I was like, maybe. So I get to the doctor, and of course they've got me hooked up to 50 bazillion machines, testing my heart, seeing what it's doing and all that. But as far as they can see, they call it normal sinus tachycardia, which is just a normal heartbeat. And they were like, you need to follow up with a cardiologist. Well, I didn't know one. I'm the person that never goes to the doctor. Like, I go to the doctor when I was pregnant, and that was it. Like, I don't go. Nothing against them. I don't need to go. So I was like, okay. And my dad has a normal cardiologist that he goes to. He was like, okay, we'll get you in with my doctor and all of that. Well, at this point, I didn't have any insurance. So, like, in my head, all I see is, like, money that's fixing to go out the window, because I'm just, this person that had a panic attack and needs to get over it. That's what I thought. So I go to the doctor, and he put me on this medicine called metoprolol that was supposed to regulate my heartbeat, but it wasn't working. So my dad was going to put me on his insurance, which didn't. This happened in September 19th of 2016. He was going to put me on his insurance so that I would be covered, but that wasn't effective until January. So the girl's dad, I still call her my mother-in-law. She'll probably always be my mother-in-law, even though she's like my ex-mother-in-law. But she actually works with, I can't even, like, his name's like this long, and I can't ever say the name, but it's basically like an electrician of your heart, long story short. But she works for that kind of cardiologist. I wouldn't even know if you'd call him a cardiologist, since that's not what he does. But anyways, she works for that kind of heart doctor, we'll put it that way. And she was talking to him, and they wound up getting me an emergency Holter monitor, which is just a monitor. There's 3 little leads that go on your chest, and then 2 that go under this boob and 2 that under this boob, and it basically just watches your heartbeat for however long they want you to wear it. I wore mine for 24 hours, and he caught several different things that was wrong with my heart. But before, that was when I first wore the monitor. And then, I think 2 days, maybe. 2 days later, I may have even actually, I don't remember, how sad is that? I went in with him to talk to him and tell him what was going on. That's what it was. I went in to talk with him, and then I wore the Holter. And then I went back in to talk with him, and he was like, okay, I see all of these things going wrong, but it could be, and that's when he gave me this paper. And I'm going to put this behind it so maybe you can see. He was like, it could really be any of this stuff. He was like, if it's on the right side, it could be inappropriate sinus tachycardia, it could be AV node reentry, it could be atrial flutter. If it's on the left side, it could be WPW, which is what they called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. Or, I can't even read what that one says. How bad is that? But yeah, so he was like, you know, it could be all of these things. And he was like, I won't know what it is until I get in there and we send the signals and all this. It's like, okay, so what do you mean until you get in there? Like, is this going to be an open heart surgery? Like, what kind of procedure is this? So what they did is they went in through the femoral arteries in my legs and just sent several different catheters up my leg, through the veins, up my chest, and into my heart. And then each one has 10 sensors on it. And then of course they have all these monitors outside. And they send a signal to each sensor. And depending on how it reacts depends on if that part of the heart is okay. So it come down to is, it was an actual, I had on the right side of my heart, I had inappropriate sinus tach and AV node reentry. And the way that I best understood it is that the AV node reentry was a birth defect that I had pretty much my whole life, that they never caught when I was little. And I think I had a heart murmur when I was little, but I mean, that's just like what I was told, so I don't really know because, I mean, I was little. I was a baby. I don't remember that far back. But, so the AV node reentry was, it just kept circling, like the blood flow kept circling right here in my heart, and it wasn't dispersing to where it needed to go. And then with the inappropriate sinus tach, he said your heart's natural pacemaker is supposed to be the size of like a pea, and mine was the size of a lima bean. So what they did is go in, so, you know, my diaphragm, or not my diaphragm, my heart, the natural pacemaker, that's the word I was looking for, is like here. And so it's supposed to only beat down here. Well, because it's so big, every time this beats, it sends vibrations and tries to make this beat. So my heart's literally beating boom, 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 boom. And then that's what was causing all that craziness going on. So what he did is he went in and he would burn this spot here and see what it would make my heart beat. Because like when I was completely asleep, my heart rate would still get up to like 180, and it's not supposed to be but like 60s or 70s, maybe 80s or 90s when you're sleeping. So he just kept burning little places until it got it down to where I was like 80 beats a minute, which he was like, okay, I can live with that on that one. And then I actually have pictures of that one. So, and this is the one that actually has two pictures, but I can't find the second one, and that makes me very sad, because the second one, like, you can see exactly how many places. I think in overall it wound up being like over 100 different places that he burned on the right side of my heart. But this is the one from part of it. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but all of these little spots down here are places that he had to burn. So like this is where it just kept circling through. So he burned that off so that it couldn't go the rest of the way it needed to. And then this is where it would be great if I could find my other picture. But there's another place on the back of my heart on the right side that he had to burn, and it was like almost the whole, like it went all the way across the top of my heart and then down and like circled back around it, but I can't show you because I can't find that picture. So what he did first, the first surgery was to fix the AV node reentry and the inappropriate sinus tach. The second surgery he actually did on the left side, and he said that they used to do them like the right and the left at the same time, but he was like, yours is so crazy that it's going to take a long time, and I just didn't. He was like, you know, it could have been bad for your body, and he just wasn't going to do that. And I was like, well, I, appreciate your honesty. So the left side was actually the Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And so the Wolff-Parkinson-White is a syndrome in which an extra electrical pathway in the heart causes a rapid heartbeat. So that's what they fixed on the left side. And then I went back in January and had my third one, and that's when he fixed the atrial flutter on the right side. So I had my first one in November, my second one in December, and then my third one in January. So 3 heart surgeries within like 3 months. It was awful. I don't recommend it for anyone. I mean, I'm very thankful that my heart works. But anyways, so then today I went, and like I said, he put me on this new medicine. I'm going to start it in the morning just because I don't know if it's going to make me feel happy or not sleep, and I don't want to not sleep tonight and then have to deal with work tomorrow. But that's just kind of like a quick base on my heart, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will answer them to the best that I can, and if I can't, or if I don't know, then I will definitely find an answer for you, whether I have to ask my doctor or whatever, just because, I mean, I'm sure it's questions that I may not have even thought about, but I will definitely keep you guys up to date on that. We are going to see, because I've started having the palpitations again within the last like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I told him, I was like, I don't know if it's just due to stress or what, and I was like, I'm just gonna let you know, and I'm working on losing some weight, because I mean, they were like, it would probably help if you did, but it's not the big major thing because you've got so many other things wrong. And I was like, well, I would love to lose weight, but my only issue is like I only eat once a day because I'm so busy with life that, and that's not really good for your body, but that's another story. So we're gonna try this medicine and see if it helps tone the crazy heartbeats going, and then if it doesn't, I have to wear a monitor for 2 weeks. It's called a 2-week event monitor, and we're gonna see if we kind of can't catch what's going on there and kind of go from there. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, ask questions. I'm an open book. I really don't mind answering questions. Let me know what you guys would like to see in our next video, and we will see you guys then. Bye.